right, good evening, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to the September South Range Board of Education meeting. I'd like to start the meeting calling to order. Mr. Nero, you can call the roll, please.
Tyler Bates.
Here.
Elizabeth Johnson.
Here.
Terry Lowry.
Here.
Brian Bagwell.
Here. Dr. Dawson wasn't able to make it tonight. First, we're going to start with a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. If you please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Did anybody have any questions or changes for tonight? If not, we just need a motion to approve the agenda for this evening.
I'll move.
Terry moves.
Second.
Elizabeth seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. And we'll start off with the board recognitions with Dr. Spolman.
Yeah, so first off, thank you so much, everyone in the audience, students, for being here. Board, we have a special recognition that I'd like to use. Do I need this? Can you hear me okay? All right, I got a coaching voice. So I'd like to do this annually. And what this recognition is, every month we celebrate called the Rater Profile. And those are students that are getting better every day. So what we want to start the tradition this year moving forward are students who scored a perfect scale score on the test that we took called the Ohio State tests, which are every spring for students in grades 3 through 10 essentially. A scale score, basically the test is broken down into sections and there's points per section. All of those points add up to a range. So those ranges equate to like 800 as students if you received, and parents if you received the report. It would say something to the fact that your student scored an 830. So all of those subsections basically add up to a scale score. So the students who we are acknowledging tonight scored a perfect scale score on one or more of their Ohio State tests, which is an unbelievable, outstanding achievement. We had nearly 30 students score perfect on the OST. Round of applause. What we'll do is I'm gonna invite the principals up. They'll read the names. Students, you'll come up, you'll shake my hand, and then we're gonna go up on the stage. At the end of this, we'll have picture time for families and so forth, and then when we're done with this section, feel free to stay for the rest of the board meeting if you'd like to go celebrate dinner, or if you have any after-school functions or any sports, we definitely understand, okay? So with that being said, I'd like to introduce Principal Gates.
Thank you very much. Again, welcome everyone, and congratulations to all of our last year's 3rd and 4th graders, this year 4th and 5th graders. So boys and girls, if you're here tonight, when I call your name, please come on up to receive your certificate. First, Elias Campbell. Kaylina Gorshak. Grayson Leffler. Sylvia Bayless. Taryn McPhee. Bethany Slagle. Christopher Turner. Brody Wilson. Elliot Hall. Evelyn Wells. Matt Dawson.
He's at soccer.
He's at soccer. Okay, I think the mic just gave up. So, Wyatt Montgomery. Kavi Patel. And if he's not here, I'm guessing his sister Kavya Patel. Brady Ridge. Daniel Safranco. Ava Eusis. Congratulations. Now call up.
Okay, so the first person I have to call, she actually scored perfect on 2 tests, which is really exciting. So Ainsley Campbell. James Barber. Dallas Dispenza. Hannah Strumkas. Ryan Nicholson. Weston Ramps. And Lucas Wangers.
Hey, good evening, everybody. I believe it was the Marines who had a slogan a few years back, the few, the proud, the Marines. I think it was the Marines. It is literally the few, the proud here at the high school, but we are extremely proud of our 2 students who scored perfect on their end of course exams. First being Addie Sell, and in an effort to be up here a little bit longer, I'm going to tell you what test she scored perfect on. Addie scored perfect on the English Language Arts 2 test. So congratulations, Addie. And then we had Cody Ewart. Is Cody here tonight? He might be at football practice. Cody, he scored perfect on the American Government test. So again, congratulations to our high school students. And I'm going to take a little bit of credit for those middle school students as well.
All right, students, kind of get a little bit closer. A little bit closer, a little bit closer.
We're not.
One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. Another round of applause for our students.
Yeah, I saw it. Thank you.
That's all I have.
All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to item number 6, public participation for regular agenda items. Anybody had anything? Now would be the chance for agenda items. If there's none, we'll go ahead and move to item number 7, communications with the superintendent.
Special thank you to all the staff, especially custodians, coaches, drivers, and teachers for welcoming kids for the 2025-26 school year. We had a great beginning of the year. Also wanted to thank our fans from last weekend. This weekend we received very positive news from the Barberton administration, and thank you, Mr. Farron, for sharing it. But the AD at Barberton gave us a shout out and gave the fans a shout out as well as the band. He stated that our fans stayed and cleaned up the stands on the visitor side and had all trash in the barrels. The locker room was cleaned, and he just said like everyone cleaned everything, and it was really good. They don't always get that at Barberton. So I wanted to acknowledge the community and those that attended the game. That's a special recognition from another school. So thank you guys for all that. With our safety and resources goal, we have 3 grants. We received all 3 of them, or 2 of them right now. We're still in waiting the 3rd grant, but we received 2 physical education grants. One with the NFL flagging school, and there's kits that they receive for the physical education classes. And the second one is USA Lacrosse. So we're trying to expand what we're offering students in physical education. And Mr. Krish did a really great job writing those grants, receiving those grants, so shout out to him. And we did receive a cyber security grant that we wrote, Mario and myself, and Dean wrote that grant last year, 2 years ago. It was a 23 grant that we wrote, and we just received it this year. So it's a little late, but we'll take it because of cybersecurity, which is crucial, and it's a mandate now according to Ohio law. So we're trending in that right direction. We have more grants out there. I applied for $60,000 in tech cred AI training for teachers, and we just applied for another tech ed grant for that. So speaking of grants and finances and so forth, I received information this year about College Credit Plus. So currently we have 54 students in College Credit Plus. In College Credit Plus, in 3 years, we are spending about $163,000 of taxpayer dollars on College Credit Plus. When we originally started, it was $88,000, and now it exploded to $163,000 that we have to pay for College Credit Plus. So just wanted to update the board on that's a general fund expenditure that by law we have to pay for students taking that. And speaking of students taking rigorous classes, this week we did release, the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce did release, communicate our report card. We had a lot of growth on the report card. We're excited about 4.5 stars, and we're going to continue to work to improve. One area that I do want to highlight, the hard work at the high school, and I know Mrs. Crumpack is here, but the high school worked on the ACT remediation score, and we went from 33% of the kids going to college remediation free to 40%, so we increased 7% on ACT. That and the college workforce we improved. So we're definitely working hard and continuing to deepening our education in career technical education students. Speaking of career technical education, today we had around 90 students over the last 2 days. It might be up a little higher. Attend the career CTE, the career trades at the Canfield Fairgrounds. I went over today. I was trying to recruit some tools. Milwaukee was there, and got to meet some masons, and it was an awesome experience. Actually, I talked to some people that we might know in common, and she was drilling. Might have been a little crooked, the nail she was drilling in the drywall, but she did it, you know. So it was an awesome experience, and I talked to our Mr. Geezy, our new construction trades teacher. He is super excited about what the kids are doing. He actually contacted four different people that are going to come to the classroom, from electrical to masonry and so forth. So very excited on where we're headed with that. I have 2 more items. First, next week I'm going to have my second cup of coffee at C's Waffle on September 24th, Wednesday at 8:30. I know last year Liz attended with me. I think she was planning on attending again. And that's just an opportunity to meet with the community. I plan on educating the community on school funding a little bit more. We just got a report released today that Ohio is 46th out of 50th in the nation in funding in schools. At one point it wasn't that low, but Ohio is relying more on property owners to fund school, and the state's sharing less of that burden. So I'd like to take that opportunity at C's just to inform the public that any changes on that is from the state as they work through legislation on funding. And the last item here is Mrs. Pierce. She is in the audience. I think she wanted to take some minutes and share some celebrations and other information.
Everybody,
Come on.
this is like up close and personal.
You're not there yet.
Good.
I don't think you're gonna get in there. That's okay. Go
All
ahead.
right, we'll just see. Okay. So one thing I wanted to update you guys on was the end of last year. I mentioned we received 5 awards from America's. What is that called? Well, the award we just received, we heard last month, is America's Healthiest Schools. So that's the whole country. That's a huge accomplishment. We were the only school in this area. I think the only other school in Ohio was this school here in Cleveland. So it's a huge accomplishment. I'm really excited. It had to do with the cafeteria, but also I really appreciate everyone in the whole school was super helpful with it. It was about mental health. It was about physical education classes. It was about community. So it really was America's Healthiest Schools all around, not just the cafeteria. So it's a really big accomplishment. They were having a summit, but they moved it virtually, so I could send everyone the invite if they want to attend this virtual celebration. It's in October. And then if you saw by the loading dock on the elementary side, we have raised beds started. So Mrs. Hollister, Mrs. McMurray, Mrs. Massey, and Mrs. Scott, we each have a raised bed. So we planted them last week. I was a little unsure. I know the school's mostly farmers. I'm not, but I was a little bit skeptical about planting this late. But I already saw like little tiny buds coming up. We planted kale, arugula, radishes, and lettuce. So I'm really excited about that, and hopefully the kids will get to see fruits of their labor. The seed packet said 40 times. So I'll keep you posted on that. I'm excited. Thank you.
Those are all communications.
Okay, thank you. We'll go ahead and move on to item number 8, the consent agenda between the treasurer and superintendent. I'm sorry, if you guys are having a hard time hearing, please feel free to come forward. The microphone died on us, so. Item number 8, the consent agenda. Item A in that list is the minutes for the board meeting on August 20th. I didn't see any changes. If anybody else did, now would be the time to bring those up. Item number B will move over to Mr. Nero for the treasurer report.
Yeah, we'll provide August financial reports. something I just wanted to highlight was on this agenda, we're approving the forecast. Part of the new biennial budget, the updated deadlines for the forecast now will be at August 31st and February 28th, but since the budget was passed later, we have until October 15th. So I did put together a forecast that we approved tonight. Essentially went to a 5-year forecast, and what they call it a 3-year, but it's essentially a 4-year forecast. So you do the current year plus 3 years, and they call it a 3-year forecast. So that's on the agenda later. That was occurred to me a couple weeks ago. Some districts are still probably going to do like a May forecast update, so I don't know if that's something you guys want to see. I was probably planning on still doing that since later in the year have more data for future years. The forecast I worked on now, there are some changes, but relied a lot on historical trends system earlier in the fiscal year. And I can go over those highlights when we get to the forecast. If you guys have any questions on this financial?
Moving on to item C, the personnel. This is the extended supplemental contracts for 25-26 school year.
Yep, that's negotiated. That's negotiated agreement.
For Patrick Carden. Item D, personnel for classified new staff hires.
Yeah, these are substitute nurse to help out when Kim is absent, as well as helping Donnie with ticket events, athletic events.
That's $30 per event.
Item number E, the list of the individuals that are going to attend Camp Fitch as chaperones. Item F, new hires for the 25-26 school year.
Yeah, so we were down drivers, now we're not. We're excited to hire Elizabeth and Stephanie, as well as a couple, a sub driver and a sub aide, a couple sub aides, and that's just at the rates that we work on. So great job to the principals and Brenda for security.
Item G is the approval of the transportation handbook for this year. That takes us to the consent agenda. Anybody have any questions on any of those items? If not, we just need a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Tyler moves, Terry seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that consent agenda item carries. Item number 9, we'll go to the treasurer's regular agenda.
Yeah, the first one's the appropriations. That's the general fund and all our other funds, which include the bond, classroom facilities, set aside amount, student activities. The general fund ties to the forecast that is on the agenda as well, the appropriations, and then the other funds are based on historical transit data and what are expected to go through. So the bond, the appropriations were set based on what our payments are this year. So, if you guys have any questions on any of those reports?
Motion to approve the 26 appropriations.
I'll move. I'll second.
Terry moves, Elizabeth seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Item B, adoption of the initial fiscal year 26 financial forecast that was provided to everybody. Do you want to elaborate on anything else, or?
Yeah, so I'll just highlight, so the forecast is broken down in 2 sections, revenue and expenditures. Revenue side, the 2 biggest breakdown is real estate and state funding. Real estate brings in roughly 43%, state brings in roughly 30% of our funding. So looking at future years, those will impact our forecast expenditures larger depending on what your assumption would be. So for like real estate, a couple months ago, I highlighted the county auditor updated our valuations of potential tax revenue. So I did update that with this forecast comparing it to May. So real estate, they were expecting, went down a couple $100,000 in expected revenue. So they didn't lose any tax dollars we didn't get again, which is what their estimate was. So they updated those values. And then state funding, the state budget was passed for 2 years. They funded the guarantee. So what they did update was the cost input. So what is at the state level currently, or the current foundation breakdown, we're on the guarantee of over $600,000. So that's a line we have to pay attention to with future budgets, because if they do anything different with that, it will obviously drive in people's money going forward. So always been enrollment, because anytime they ever touch the guarantee in the past, it always the schools are losing enrollment. And when they changed the funding model 4 or 5 years ago now, when they moved enrollment into the state funding formula, it reset our student count from local to just buzzing seats. So if we maintain that enrollment going forward with future budgets, I don't anticipate losing any money in the guarantee, but never will. Future legislatures will do. That's just something to keep in mind. And then on the revenue side, any of like the future, so I use trends I did with past forecasts, using historical averages and stuff like that. On the expenditure side, the main budget is made of salary and benefits, 53% of salary, roughly 25% is benefits. So obviously, those assumptions will impact what the future years look like. So we just approved a 2-year contract, 3% is what's in the forecast, and then for future years, for a planning tool, like putting 2%, it's not set for negotiations, but it's just for planning purposes. Insurance, other being other main item, I forecasted roughly 8% for future insurance costs, because that's been the average trend since we joined Gatsby's. The other major item is purchase service. One of the biggest costs there is the ESC invoice, and that's been a topic of conversation past budget or past board meetings. The biggest driver in that increase would be the preschool side. We talked about that before. And our costs per day have remained relatively stable. It's been the number of days we need service. Now I know we have a preschool here. It doesn't matter if it's here or somewhere else. The kids that we're required to educate. So that cost per day is what drove most of that increase. But also over the years, trying to be cost effective and most benefit for the district is certain positions have left that we started to utilize the ESC some of their services. So one of the positions that was psych, we had that in-house, so the salary and benefits were close to $100,000. Using the ESC, we reduced that cost to roughly $60,000. So there's some savings there. This past year, our special supervisor resigned from another position within the district, so we started utilizing ESC for their services for this year. And I think that cost was roughly $85,000, and we saved with the salary and benefits prior was roughly around 120, so there's some savings there. So I know ESC has been a long topic conversation, but there's some smaller districts that was beneficial, and obviously we have to talk about conversations and meet our needs, and we always make a decision based on that. And that's kind of going forward is continuing those trends, and then future years is maintaining current staff levels. So future reductions in staff is not forecasted, but I did forecast potential retirements and some savings in salary with replacing with lower costs. I think that's the main stuff. Yeah, those are like the big bullet points that factor into what the future years are forecasting look like. Like I said, forecasted planning tool, it's a snapshot in time. Things change all the time. So we always discuss a treasury meeting, it's a living document. It's a snapshot in time as right now, things change as
This time frame kind of made it more difficult snapshot in time because the estimates that you would get prior to the previous scheduled budgets, they don't exist yet because they're not coming out for another couple months or month or so.
yeah.
So you're kind of just using your best guess from historical data.
Yeah, so for future years, it's gonna be using more data. Like right now, we did get the real estate settlement for the fall on August 29th. So because of the deadlines, like next year, when I do the fall forecast or August forecast, we won't be getting our tax advances, so we'll be relying on more historical data instead of actual dollars. Same with the May forecast going up to February. You're not gonna have a spring settlement, so you're relying on more historical trends and data before you start seeing how the receipts are coming in. So that's why a lot of schools are doing like May, so yeah, so you're relying more on historical data than actual trends in the current year by doing those deadlines.
I mean, I personally like doing that additional forecast, between the two, just to kind of catch up and confirm. So if you're asking for what we thought, I think I'd be in favor of that.
I'd be in favor of seeing that also.
Yeah, so those would definitely help with the August forecast. There shouldn't be as much changes from that. It just be so the May should be closer to what that was. That's no problem.
One other thing that we talked about before, and I don't think a lot of people probably realize, but maybe think of it because I think the Fed's meeting tomorrow, but with interest rates fluctuating, money that we have in money markets that's making money based on those interest rates, when those interest rates drop, even though it's good for us as consumers, it would be detrimental to us as a school because our money isn't we're not getting that interest income, right?
Correct. So yeah, so like, the interest increased dramatically this year 22 till now. So future years, I projected a gradual decrease, but I talked to other treasurers, like what kind of trends they're using, all that stuff, and most treasurers are kind of forecasting 85 to 90% trend, like get that same revenue, but the Fed's come back and drop rates dramatically, not maybe immediate impact. So it's just more like understanding that might be something we have to look at as well. And the notes that you have like that breakdown, so you can kind of see how it's forecasted, what it's coming up to.
Were there any other questions on item B? If not, we just need a motion to approve the fiscal year 26, first fiscal year 26 forecast. Elizabeth moves. Tyler seconds. All in favor? Opposed? That motion carries. Item C, the student activity budget purpose statements. Those are provided in the drive folders.
It is one of them turning right now, we still have a few remaining, but so I'll reach out to the 5 of those to need to get them approved. But yeah, it's just a yearly thing. It's just starting for the student activity advisors, see if they want to use the funds. So initial plan, and then there's other topics that fall next to some of their funding.
I'll move. Tyler moves. Terry seconds. All in favor? Opposed? That motion carries. Item D, section 125, flexible fringe benefits. This is part of the negotiated agreement.
Yeah, so a couple years ago, we negotiated a flex spending account. American Fidelity is one of the companies that kind of handle that. They do it for free for the district, they just like to meet with the staff. And but they also get forms that be required for staff to sign off on that allows us to take out their insurance pre-tax. And so it's a tax savings to employees.
Elizabeth moves. Terry seconds. All in favor? Opposed? That motion carries. Item E, inventory removal. The following textbooks considered obsolete and no longer useful for educational purposes. Anybody have any questions on those? I'll move. Tyler moves. And Elizabeth seconds. All in favor? Opposed? That motion carries. Item F, a couple donations, one to the high school principal and one to just South Marine schools in general. As always, we appreciate those donations. We just need a motion to accept those. Tyler moves, Terry seconds, all in favor? Opposed? Those motions carry, or that motion carries for those donations. Now we'll move to superintendent's regular agenda, item number 10. The first item is the business advisory council minutes that were included in the drive. Anybody had any questions or want to volunteer their business? I saw they're looking for places to host. If not, we just need a motion to approve those. Terry moves. Elizabeth seconds. All in favor? Opposed? That motion carries. The educational service contract, a motion to approve the Title III English Language Learner Consortium contract for fiscal year 26.
Yes, we have students that legally we have to offer ELL, English Language Learner Services, and we receive some money from the federal government. It's about $600. So we work with ESC because there's a lot of schools that use the ESC for the students who need English Language Learner Services. So this is just a contract to work with that group. There's several schools.
This is like English as a second or third language.
I'll second.
Elizabeth moves. Terry seconds. All in favor? Opposed? That motion carries. That will take us to item number 11, public participation for non-agenda items. Yes, ma'am.
Is it okay if I address Mr. Zapolnik? It's just
Yeah.
kind of a question I think he's gonna have the answer to.
Yeah, he may not have it for you tonight, but.
No, I don't expect that he will. It's kind of a comment, but kind of mixed in with a question. I was, wanted to congratulate the entire school with the 4.5 stars. That was very exciting. but of course I had to just delve into it a little bit further, and I noticed that there were 2 places, and I'm sure you did too, where we got 3 stars. One of them didn't really concern me. It was the preparedness for workforce. And looking at how they rated that, I was not concerned by that at all. It seemed like most of our students are going into a 4-year program versus like the 2-year or right into the military, so that kind of skewed us down a little bit. So I wasn't concerned with that. But the one, and I don't want to say it was concerning, but it was interesting to me, is the progress report, where we were scored 3 stars. I couldn't help but notice that in the elementary schools and in the middle schools, we seem to be doing very, very well. They scored it as, how did they do it? In the giftedness program is what I was looking at. Did you go into this, Jared, at all? So the elementary school and the middle school, it seemed like we were scoring really, really high, identifying all of our students very well, and then servicing 100% of those students. But when we got to the high school, that dropped drastically. It dropped down to a 71%, where they expect us to be at 80%. I wondered if we knew why that was. I have a theory, but I'm wondering if I'm right or if you have any ideas why that would be. If you have an idea.
So I think we've talked about it.
Yeah, that, kudos to you. I mean, that's basically the next level work that our team, we talked about that today. With progress specific, when you did our analysis, there were some areas that had a huge drop because students are in CCP.
I knew that, okay. I knew that was gonna be the, so that brings me to the question of, does the state not have an exception for that? For us having, obviously, we have this great CCP program. We're up for $88,000 to $163,000 in the last whatever many years it was. So I would anticipate that the gifted students in our high school are enrolled in CCP. So therefore, we at the school don't offer a really extensive gifted program. That would make sense to me. Does the state not recognize that?
No, and I welcome Mrs. Ware, Mr. Zolan. Mrs. Ware has a lot of experience with gifted and at the high school specifically. It doesn't. So we are working with high school staff currently we encourage them to maybe consider being a gifted intervention specialist, just like an intervention specialist. If the CCP course is taught by a GIS, yes. The course isn't taught by a GIS. We currently have no GISs K-12. So over the last couple years working with staff and collaborating, we had conversations like, hey, would you consider going back to school, becoming a GIS, meeting with Mrs. Ware, meeting with Mrs. DeCivio to have these conversations. And I know that just happened recently with Mrs. Fischel. So we also didn't receive points. There's a lot of other reasons. If we simply identify and we create some opportunities with that GIS at the high school, and I know Mrs. Fischel has some really good ideas, you will see another star. We simply are getting there. It's going to take some time, but we acknowledge it. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it made sense to me.
Yeah.
It just, I just thought it was weird. We can't be the only school that's doing that. Because I understand it is a waste of taxpayers' money to be paying a gifted program for students that aren't going to enroll in it because they're in CCP.
You hit the nail on the head. And with progress, we can narrow down to 2 areas that I know we've already provided a lot of support and conversation. Hey, what do we need to do for those 2 areas? Progress is based on a standard deviation. Mm-hmm. We had one area that standard deviation went extremely, and it's never happened. And we know why, so now the conversation is, hey, what if and how about? And it's going to get us to be a little creative. So we are getting creative. We'll see the effects next year just from the conversations. But yeah, it is a challenge when you have 54 kids taking the course because the other 30 are in CCP. That's 30 kids that don't count to that quantifier, and because they don't count, they automatically get a C.
Yeah, which is, you can have 5s all across the board, but the second you put a 0 in there, all of a sudden it drops drastically. 100%. So, yeah, okay. All right, I thought that's what it was, but I had a feeling you would know that. So.
That was a good question.
No, actually, we were just, because we were talking about, was it Monday, when we went over the stars, and he explained to me, and that's exactly what he explained, but also too, I know this past year, we had a couple of students who've taken CCP, and a lot of the classes that they took for college credit didn't transfer to that college that they went to. So we're wondering, why are we wasting the money if it could, I mean, you're taking college
Well, I
classes
guess they
and
don't
it
know.
doesn't transfer.
At what age level can they start enrolling in CCP? I heard somebody say 8th grade.
There's a range, yeah.
Range, all depends.
In the trend, CCP is great for students that it's their, you know, it's their niche. CCP is so watered down. The state of Ohio, and it's all factual, there's a white paper last year, January of 2024, or 25. The state of Ohio auditor came out, and once you open it, the very first paragraph that says CCP is advantageous for secondary schools, disadvantaged for public schools, K-12, basically. Because, like in our case, if I had to take Mrs. Crumpack, who's going to challenge me, or an online college class, right? So that's been kind of like, and you can't fault the student for that, but that's the system. In the colleges, they smartened up and said, you took biology, but that's not medical biology. So that credit, though counts for the transfer, doesn't count for overall college graduation. So these colleges have got really smartened up on what counts and what doesn't count, because theoretically any Ohio college should receive Ohio College Credit Plus credits. Mrs. Ware, Mrs. Zoid, Ms. Crumpack, I know we've all had those conversations. It's one of those things where now it's, do we encourage more of our staff to be CCP trained, or CCP a qualifier, because it goes from 370 to...
We said that also, if you are housing your own CCP courses, so we have 4 CCP credentialed teachers, you house it within the building, the students are staying within the building, but in addition to that, that would count as those gifted services, because those teachers then get those gifted hours because they have to qualify for so many gifted hours, and then they write the written education plan. It doesn't work when you're trying to work with the university to be able to write that web, and so that's what's counting as service. But if it's housed within, and so we did have that conversation today of like, what does that entail to be able to get more of our teachers with that CCP credential?
And the last part to that is we've even encouraged families in the audience. There are colleges that are, they'll charge $100 versus like a $300. And again, when we get to the root of it, some of these courses the kids are taking simply because they aren't being challenged. So it's like financial, and you can't, I can't say, no, you have to take Stark State.
You mean you can't as a parent, or you can't as a
school
superintendent?
district, as a school district.
Oh, okay.
So parents are like, no, I want to take YSU, or I want to take...
Can I as a parent?
Yeah,
Oh.
you can sign up. So those are all the little nuances, and colleges know that. I met with YSU this summer, and it was like really pleading with them to take, because our costs are, it's hard to control them. Please, we're a small rural district, and YSU said we're not changing our costs. So I said, okay, I want to encourage Stark State because they offer the same exact, but half the price. So that's kind of like the game that you play, that they've been playing for many years. And it's a very, because you're keeping the kids there. Like, you want to challenge the kiddos, but how can we do it, to your point, that maybe a little innovative, maybe a little.
And and part of me really honestly doesn't care if the state is hitting us hard for not having that program, as long as I know as a parent and a taxpayer that my kid, who might be gifted, is getting the resources and challenges that they need. So I don't necessarily care, but it would be an answer as to why that number was low. And that's all I was really looking for. I had a feeling that was it. Because I thought, you have all these gifted students, all of them undoubtedly are going to be tested as gifted, and then we're just dropping them off in 9th grade. I just didn't believe that. So, okay, thank you. I knew he'd know the answer to that. Doubted me.
Anybody else for public participation?
Can I just add something? It's kind of on the agenda. Jared touched on it. The cybersecurity. We coined September Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and I sent something out for the teachers because we do get E-rate funded, and we have to be Children's Internet Protection Act compliance. So I use September as this is our monthly meeting to make it public, and we send out short videos and encourage the teacher to do more training in the classroom, because we apply for this federal money every year, and like what we just put in our wireless project, it's $100,000. These are just estimate round numbers, but it's a $100,000 project, but we only pay $40,000 because we can take we use the E-rate free and reduced lunch calculations to calculate that out. So that's really what I wanted to say. Let the teachers do it. They conduct a roll call on it, and they have some videos that train the kids on internet safety, email safety, everything that, you know, we're trying to strive to get better at. So that's all. Thank you.
And Brian, I had one more item. I wanted to speak in public about this, to just inform the board. I was recently informed that there is a lawsuit that there are individuals suing social media sites in video games, and it is a multi-billion-dollar lawsuit because of teen suicide and what the effects social media, especially for the younger kids. When we got rid of cell phones in schools last year, remember schools had to this year had to implement it. We did it last year, and you know, we talked to staff throughout the process, and we heard overwhelmingly like kids are interacting with each other, and it's gone really, really well. So that kind of trend throughout the nation then led to this lawsuit against video games and Facebook, social media sites because of cyberbullying and so forth, on how it impacted children. The research is crystal clear, how it hurts the executive functioning and other aspects of the brain. So I am currently researching what it would take for us to join that lawsuit against the social media sites that do not put age restrictions on certain sites. It's not monitored, and how it impacts kids when they get to school. I'm just getting more information now on it. I don't know. I'll probably have our legal look at any information I get, but I do believe we could receive some financial restitution from this settlement agreement. And if so, I would like to put it into internet safety and put it into what Dean was talking about, cybersecurity and so forth. Again, I don't know. I don't want to get us involved in a contract that would be a disadvantage to the district, but I do think it is about time that some of these social media sites are held accountable. And I don't know when the suit, like it could be tomorrow, it could be 3 months from now. I also wanted to do this in public so you guys can hear where I'm going to get more information. You know, and if you have any questions about that, call me.
Okay, additionally on other matters, the next regularly scheduled board meeting is October 15th at 6 o'clock. Anybody have any conflicts with that? So for now, that will be our next scheduled meeting, October 15th, 6 o'clock. Probably back in the library, I would assume, right?
Yes.
With that, if there's nothing else, we just need a motion for adjournment.
I'll move.
Terry moves.
I'll second.
Tyler seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We'll adjourn at 6:49. Okay, thank you for coming, and we will look forward to seeing you next month.